It's the big one. It's time for Arsenal against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. A huge fixture for the season, perhaps the biggest. Who knows? I mean, there's still so much to play for in the Premier League. The Champions League has taken something of a back seat because all of our attention has very much been on the title race, with Arsenal sitting top of the table with the league in their hands, some might say. I know there's goal difference and stuff, but it's certainly looking very good. But the Champions League, I think, is a real opportunity for Arsenal this season. And we're going to talk all about it in Arsenal's preview show. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another episode of what is our Arsenal preview show, joining you every single week before each of Arsenal's fixtures. I'm very happy, as always, for these shows to be joined by members from our Discord server to have a chat about Arsenal against Bayern Munich. First of all, I'm joined by Mike. How you doing, Mike? You good? You well?
Very well, thanks, Tom. Good day to everybody, and thanks for
telling us that you're getting up at 3 a.m. tomorrow, right? 3
a.m. Yeah. It's an early one.
It is over there in Australia. Amazing commitment. Always appreciated, Dan. Thanks for coming on, because it must be 1 a.m. there now. So
yeah, just after.
Yeah. And Dan's made you stayed up to 10 past 1 in the morning. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry for being late. Hello, everyone. What's going on?
Good. You're all good. We have the patience. You know, when you're sitting top of the table, I'm not anxious about anything. I'm just sitting here, chill, happy to be patient about things. So it's all good. All good indeed. And did you enjoy your holiday?
It was amazing. Honestly, I would recommend it to everyone and anyone who would love to go there. It was a beautiful country.
Was it Sierra Leone?
Sierra Leone. Yeah, Sierra Leone. Beautiful.
There you go. As a tip. And Garrett, lastly, who's not in Sierra Leone, joins us as well. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah, not bad. Buzzing for this game now. So yeah, looking forward to talking about it.
Indeed, very much so. Let's get straight on with it then. Mike, Bayern Munich. If I'd have been asking you about this fixture, let's say, I don't know, 7 years ago, you may have been talking very differently about Arsenal's chances of this fixture. Would it be fair to say that we're favourites for this?
Yes, I think so. But just a little.
How are you feeling about this one?
I think it's Bayern Munich. However poorly they're doing in the league, it's not actually that poorly. They're behind Leverkusen, who haven't lost all year. They're a team full of extraordinarily talented footballers who have lost their way a little bit under a manager who has probably not served them very well. But that doesn't. They've got something to play for in the Champions League. So I think Mikel's message will be underestimate these guys at your peril. So confident, but nevertheless wary is probably where I'm at.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Confident but wary is a really good way, I think, of putting it. Garrett, as Mike touched upon, this Bayern Munich side are having their struggles. They lost at the weekend, 2-0 up against Heidenheim to concede 3 goals in the second half, which means now that, of course, if Leverkusen win this week, in fact, at the weekend, they will be crowned Bundesliga champions. Kind of crazy. I wish we had that kind of a buffer. Could be crowned champions this week. It'd be very nice indeed. That's why Xhaka left. He was just too fed up of it being going to the final weeks at the end of the season. But how do you feel about Bayern as a test and the quality that they obviously still have?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough test. I think, as Mike said, the message will definitely be underestimate them at your peril. I mean, they've scored bucket loads of goals. I know, look, you can say it's a Bundesliga, but they've got players that can score a lot of goals, and our good friend Harry Kane, who's caused us a lot of problems in the past, there.
Good friend.
Oh, well, I don't know, the adversary may be a better word, but he'll be there, and no doubt. I mean, look, it's not even him. I mean, look, they have quality everywhere. Jamal Musiala, sensational player. I think there's not really many better words for him. He is unbelievable. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough test. I think the first leg we need to start it right as well. And I think, we'll need to have I think a healthy lead going to the Allianz, because that'll be a tough test.
It will, yeah. It's going to be intriguing to see what kind of scoreline Arsenal go to the Allianz with, because Dan, that that has been obviously a big part of fixtures down the history of Arsenal and Bayern, is that at the Emirates, we've had some close affairs. We've even beaten, Bayern at the Emirates before. But the last time we met them, we lost 5-1. In fact, the last 3 times we've met them, we've lost 5-1. Do you think there's anything in the narrative of the history between the two clubs that Arteta may use as kind of motivation here? Or is it a case of these are two very different teams in a very different period?
I think it has to be a clean slate. I think if he goes by the teams that we fielded at that time, even though they had individual quality, as a team, we were non-existent. Whereas this time round, I feel like we're going in as a unit, and Bayern Munich are coming in as a bunch of individuals. So yes, they have great talent on that pitch in every single area of the pitch. Like even from Noah coming back from quite a bad injury to now, being ready to face Arsenal. You got Alphonso Davies, him as a left back. He's unreal. His pace will keep up with Saka at half his speed. So they've got a lot of players, Sane and the rest to boot. But I think we need to go in with a fresh set of eyes. This season's mentality, which is it doesn't matter who it is, we're coming to play our style of football, and hopefully at the Emirates with 0 Bayern Munich fans, we will be absolutely rocking the house down. And from the second the game kicks off, put them on the back burner.
The last time we played Bayern, their front 3 was Arjen Robben, Frank Ribery, and Robert Lewandowski. It doesn't really get much harder than that, does it? It's quite ridiculous. Has anyone looked at the last time we played Bayern in terms of what our team was? Does anyone reckon they can go for it? Does anyone want to take a guess who our goalkeeper was that day? This is on the 7th of March, 2017. Anyone know who was in goal?
Was Almunia in goal?
No, it's later than that. Later than Szczesny.
Wow. No
He's
idea.
Colombian. If you want a chance?
Was it?
No, it's a Colombian.
Oh, Ospina.
Ospina was in goal for Arsenal that day. Back 4 was Hector Bellerin, Skodran Mustafi, Laurent Koscielny, who was sent off in the 53rd minute, and Nacho Monreal was the back 4. A midfield 3 of Granit Xhaka, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Aaron Ramsey, and a front 3 of Theo Walcott, Olivier Giroud, and Alexis Sanchez was the front 3. We'd lost the first leg with the same scoreline, as I mentioned before. 5-1 was the first leg, and another quite ridiculous performance. We'd actually gone 1-1. Robben gave Bayern the lead in that game in the Allianz before Alexis Sanchez equalised, with a slightly different team that day. Francis Coquelin and Alex Iwobi both started, as did Kieran Gibbs at left back as well. This time around, Mike, instead of Skodran Mustafi, we've got William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. It's a little different. How are you feeling about our chances of keeping another clean sheet?
We've got the best defence in Europe. So I think we have a fair chance. Obviously, people are going to twitch a little bit about who's playing potentially on the left. Obviously, there's been lots of witterings going on this week since the game of the weekend and the choice that was made. But I think this, it's not just that back 5. It's what sits in front of them as well. Be that Rice and Jorginho. I think it's sensational. I mean, 4 goals since the beginning of the year, and we're restricting teams to, or we're limiting shot opportunities beyond. We must be breaking records at this stage. So, if there's one area of the pitch that I am confident that we'll do well in, it's that area more than any other. So
4 goals conceded this year. 4.
Yeah, that's it. It's quite remarkable.
It is indeed. I love the celebrations at Brighton when Gabriel made that block from João Pedro. That kind of showed you, I think, what they're striving for, if you like, this team, and what they're aiming to achieve this side in every game. They love defending. by that point, they know they've got the win. You're 3 goals up with minutes left, and it's a case now of let's hold the line. Let's keep a clean sheet, because to the defenders, it's like a goal. It's quite special.
Very much so.
Garrett,
so.
in terms of sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut across you there. I think there's a slight delay. What did you want to say?
No, I was just agreeing with you. I was just saying very much so. I think that
I hate
spirit
when I
is
cut across people that are agreeing with me. That's my worst time I can cut across someone.
absolutely.
Garrett, in terms of the players that they'll be getting back, because they have been missing some players in recent weeks. Manuel Neuer's been out. I think Mazraoui has been out. I think they're both potentially back. They're both in training this week, so they've been playing with Ulreich in goal, he's all right. But in terms of Manuel Neuer, what do you make of that addition to the team? The fact that none of you laughed at that joke, by the way, is despicable. But go on, tell me.
To be fair, I thought you said he's all right. I didn't hear you actually say your name there.
I did say that. Go on, Garrett. Tell me about Manuel Neuer and his difference to the team.
Yeah, look, I think he's a legend of the game, really, and I think regardless of his age, he's a very, very special player. So yeah, that's not great that he's back. No doubt he'll be ready to face us. I can't see Ulreich being in net, to be honest. I will be Neuer. So yeah, look, he's wall and net, but I think we have a lot of attacking potential ourselves. So I still back us. I still back us to score goals, but I suppose it's a matter of how many we can score and how many we can keep out. So yeah.
Where do you see the weaknesses in their side?
Dyer.
I was going to say, does it start with E and end in Rick Dyer?
I actually forgot he was playing. Yeah, 100%. It's got to be. I mean, like, look, we've got at him a lot of times when we've played Spurs over the years, and it kind of boggles my mind he's somehow starting for Bayern Munich. I'm not sure I've ever seen a player fall upwards so well, really. But yeah, he'll definitely be a point we can get at 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Upamecano's not had the best of seasons, I don't think. Kim Min-jae has also struggled at the back as well. Defensively, there are question marks. They've got Joshua Kimmich, of course, who's fantastic, can play at right back. And if I was Tuchel, I'd be starting Kimmich at right back in this game, because I think they need that extra defensive solidity. If Mazraoui comes back in, I think that's arguably a bit of a plus for us, because obviously he can be good going forwards, of course, but defensively there's questions. I love this from the Mask Cannon, Upper Maguire. It's in the nickname of him this season. Brilliant. In terms, Dan, looking more so at Arsenal, of course, coming off the back of such a good run, a win against Liverpool, a draw at City, Arsenal haven't lost against the Big Six side of the Premier League this season, which is quite the record. That must give us confidence going into such an important fixture. And, I think there's been games earlier in the season where I remember the Lens away game and the Porto away game as well, like Champions League games, European games. There's a different feel to them. And sometimes it's like the Premier League familiarity disappears and the nerves set in, and we're not the same side that we showed to be in the Premier League. Do you have a concern that maybe that will happen again here tomorrow?
I'd like to hope it won't. I think we start that nervousness off in the crowd, though, don't we? Like it's the stadium that gives off that vibe first, and then the players kind of react to it. But I think I said in the Discord earlier on that Champions League is more like a chess game, isn't it? It's tactic versus tactic as opposed to just all out attack every single game. So I think that Tuchel's record versus Arteta isn't that great, though. So he's probably going to be more on the tactical side, whereas Arteta's just got to implement his game plan and just do what he does best. It's just take them from the first 5 minutes. If we can attack Bayern Munich, I reckon we open them up in the first 10, they're going to fall apart. Eric Dyer and Upa Maguire, as he was named by that commentator, they have been woeful together this season. And to be fair, the team spirit just looks like it's there to be taken. But it's Champions League. Anything can happen. On the night, they could turn back into their superstar selves and hold out for a draw. But we're not wishing that into existence. They're going to get absolutely slaughtered. It's going to be 5-0 to the Arsenal, and that's all we're saying.
I'm just thinking, we haven't conceded a single goal in the Champions League at home, I don't think, this season. 4-0 against PSV, 6-0 against Lens, 2-0 against Sevilla, 1-0 against Porto. You know, we've not conceded a goal in the Champions League so far this season. It is an excellent record defensive, as I was discussing with Mike a second ago, and that sort of things. That must give them confidence as well, you know, going into the game. There are some selection decisions that are going to be interesting, I think. And speaking of which, we'll go to the lineups as well, because I think there's some interesting picks specifically from Mike, who I think we'll start with, because specifically I want to ask about why Tomiyasu in your team. You can go through the whole lineup, but I'm keen on why Tomiyasu, and I'm keen on why Jesus as well.
So for those listening and not seeing, it's Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tommy, Jorginho at the base of the midfield with Rice and Odegaard, then Saka, Havertz, and Jesus is the three up top. So thinking behind this is Kivior and Tommy was the choice for this game. I think that in light of Bayern's flying wingers, who are potentially quite quick, I like the look of either of those. Now, the reason I went for Tommy is that I've sort of tried to take a cue from what's happened over the last couple of games in what Arteta's picks have been, and the thinking is that there's a degree of preparation going on. It's not just about rotation. It's not just about resting players. That there is a little more than that, I think, in who's come on and when they've come on in the last couple of games. So in light of the fact that Tommy's come on twice in the last two games, built up some more minutes, and Kivior hasn't featured at all, I'm thinking that Tommy plays the first 60, 70, and then Kivior closes it out. So that was the thinking behind that. I think Jorginho has more than merited his place, and I think the relationship between him and Havertz just continues to flourish. There seems to be a chemistry there, which is very special in terms of what can be created. And Jesus on the again looking at the last two games, there's been a rotation on the left between Jesus and Trossard, and there's been a rotation on the right between Saka and Martinelli, which, if you look at our major worry perhaps as fans over the last few weeks, it's possibly been what happens if one of our wingers gets injured. And I think this, particularly in light of Havertz's strong performance as a number 9 / false number 9, I think that's been a deliberate in terms of making sure that that's covered in case one or two of them fall down. It's been surprising to see Martinelli playing on the right, but I think he's done very well when he's come on for Saka. There's been no significant drop-off at all, if any. If anything, Martinelli's actually lifted the game again. And the other thing that I can't help thinking is in Jorginho, Havertz and Jesus, we have three players who have Champions League experience at a fairly significant level. And all three of those, I think, have the ability to, as well as Rice and Odegaard, have the ability to keep that team together, to keep them firing as they should. And as I think Dan hit the nail on the head before, the togetherness of this team is exceptional and is one of the major strengths. And I think that Champions League experience that those three have got will help cement that, perhaps if there's times where it's a bit tougher. So that's the rationale, I think.
I think it summed up really, really well. Having that Jesus figure in there to provide that experience is key. He's the guy that won us the penalty to open up the scoring against Brighton. People talk about the fact that his finishing has been a bit questionable, and he missed those chances against City. I was listening to the Arsenal Vision podcast on the way to the Luton game after the Man City game, and Clive, as he always so annoyingly does, made me realise how wrong I'd been judging Jesus purely on what he did around the box, because I just hadn't focused on anything else, because all those misses had stuck in my mind so strongly that I'd completely ignored everything else he did in the game, which was just to defend excellently, like a centre half would, like as successful. His work rate and his ethic in that. And if you judge him on a centre forward performance in that game, which is not really the role that he was playing, you would give him a 2-3 out of 10. If you judged him on his overall performance, it was far higher. And if you were judging it on what he did defensively in what was obviously a really important point, you're talking about far higher numbers. So it is interesting. We need him for his attacking threat more so in this game. So I think Arsenal will be on the front foot. And I suppose maybe that's why the rest of us may have gone with Martinelli. Dan, we'll start with you. Talk us through your team.
Yeah, so for those who can't see, it's Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, but I've gone with Kivior instead of Tommy, purely based on his pace and his defensive prowess. Like, I think he gives the balance of both. And considering, as Mike said, the wingers are pacey like Coman and Sane, I think Kivior can keep up with them. So he will offer a better performance in the first half, and then I think Tommy can come in and close it out in the end. Midfield, I've gone Jorginho, Rice and Odegaard, which seems to be our set three at the moment. I'm one who really enjoyed Jorginho joining the club, and I felt he was going to do well for us, but I think he's actually exceeded my expectations since he's come in the recent months. He's brought a calm act. And I think that the forward passing element as well, from a deep point, he's breaking the lines from an early point in the game, or deeper point in the match, and pushing forward, which Rice does sometimes, but not always. He tends to go sideways. And then up top, I think I eliminated Jesus for the first half, thinking that Martinelli will give us a better attacking threat down the sides, getting in behind into the spaces, and then Jesus can come on towards the end for either Havertz or for Martinelli and close out the game by holding the ball up better up top and just keeping them camped in there off.
Yeah, it's a really, really point well made again, like with both players. Kivior's pace, Martinelli's speed is one behind. In the chat box as well, there's some really good points as well being made about the Jesus thing. Rand said Jesus brings the surprise factor. That's what we need in Champions League games. And Zach points out that Jesus was excellent in that Sevilla away game as well. That helped us get the 2-0 win. Was it 2-0? I think it was 2-1 in Sevilla. In Seville, it was a really important victory, and Jesus got a goal and an assist that day. So yeah, I think absolutely the arguments for both players stand out. Garrett, talk us through yours. Same lineup as Dan's, but any particulars as to why you've gone with the team?
Yeah, so Kivior left back. I just thought, kind of based on recency, I know Tommy has been, had his minutes built up over the last few games, but I think just based on how the team has done with Kivior in recently, I mean, yeah, as we all know, 4 goals in 2024. Like, I know, look, that's in the league, obviously, different kettle of fish here, but I still think for this game, I think Kivior's got to be there for me. And then Martinelli at left wing, I think, look, it is harsh to not start Jesus, because I think, yeah, look, he was good at the weekend against Brighton, but I think the Martinelli and Havertz, just kind of the link between those two, I think is quite good. The knockdowns from Havertz. I mean, look, at the end of the day, that's what won us the game against City at home, a knockdown from Havertz. I know Tommy was involved as well. But I think that just the pace, the knockdowns, and the potential for Martinelli to get onto them and get him behind it is too good, especially against, look, as we talked about, Upamecano and Dyer. Look, the potential's there to get him behind. So, yeah, that's why I went with Kivior and Martinelli, and yeah, look, the rest of the team is the same as Dan. So yeah, no, I think it's a pretty solid lineup, and I think it's probably what I'd will go with, but I could see Jesus in there either.
Yeah, I've got the same as both yourself, Garrett, and Dan. Owen thinks that Partey might start because he was completely rested. He's a player that we haven't really discussed in this preview at all. He was a completely unused player in that game against Brighton at the weekend. Jorginho has had issues fitness-wise, especially starting games in quick successions. There's an argument maybe Partey would come in, but he's just not played much, and it's a massive game to suddenly throw him in for what would be his first start of in that Luton game, of course, that he started. He was good in the Luton game. I thought he was good when he came on against City as well, and that small cameo that he had. But I don't know if I would risk it. I mean, if Jorginho is fully ready, I still feel like I'd go with him for this game, and you can still make the change at half time if maybe Partey starts the Villa game, for instance, especially with Douglas Luiz not being available now. That might be a midfield battle that he's going to be suited for. So certainly decisions to be made. I've put Declan Rice as my star man. These are the games we bought him for. These are the games in which Declan Rice really has to come to the fore. £100 million invested. He was obviously linked with Bayern Munich. They were very keen on him in the summer as well. So it's a chance to show exactly what they missed out on. But I'm really excited for this fixture. Really keen to see what happens. The only thing we haven't actually discussed either, which we'll touch upon just briefly now before we go to predictions, is the fact that Owen says, I actually think the lack of away fans is a bad thing. Of course, Bayern Munich will not have any fans in the stadium tomorrow. Owen says it's hard to generate an atmosphere when you've nobody to bounce off of and kind of stir things up somewhat. I think there's absolutely an argument in there. I'm hoping that just the raw emotion and the monumental kind of point that tomorrow night will kind of eradicate that fear, and that Arsenal will the atmosphere at the start of the game, I imagine, is going to be absolutely unbelievable. And if Arsenal start fast and get, who knows, an early goal, it can only do greater and greater things, especially if Arsenal keep the energy up high. The crowd energy will flow with that and hopefully be something of a feedback. Anyone have any really strong thoughts on the fact that there'll be no Bayern fans in the ground?
I don't think it's going to change the way the Arsenal fans rapport. I think, if anything, it's going to make them louder, because now, yes, there ain't no one there to bounce off of, no one there to silence, but we're trying to silence the players, not necessarily the crowd. So I think this is the only opportunity we'll get where the 12th man as such is really in effect. We are the only ones there. So everything we do will be heard, will be felt. And I think I read a passage earlier on saying that there's been a massive march before the game as well, where fans are being invited to meet up at a specific point and march all the way to the stadium. So it's going to be good. And I reckon that the atmosphere, we've been waiting for this for so long. Why not? We need to go for it. We need to generate that energy for them. So why not?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Garrett, thoughts quickly?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, look, the occasion, I think, will really set the atmosphere. I don't like I can kind of see it, the back and forth between the fans. But I think, as Dan said, it is kind of just, we want, it's a 12th man. We want to try and get in on the players more so than the fans. So I think the place will be rocking 100%. It's been 14 years. It's been far too long since we got to a quarter final. So I think the atmosphere will be rocking regardless. And an early goal, I think, will set the place alight, to be honest.
Mike?
Arteta has a big role to play in this, in how he sends the team out. If the team's sent out with an instruction to get busy from the first whistle, absolutely.
That's right.
I think that is going to be pretty crucial. If that starts, we get a sniff of a victory here. The crowd's going to lift automatically, I think. I'm putting it all on Arteta.
It's just this weird part of me that wants the players to kind of walk out, and as soon as we finished all the ceremony stuff, shaking the hands, I just want every player to go to each corner of the ground and just start whipping the fans. Going mad. There's something to be said about an over emotional state. Maybe you can, and sometimes it doesn't set you up in the right way. I think it was Pep Guardiola on the documentary about Barcelona before the Man United Champions League final said they showed them this really emotional video just before they went out about kind of the journey they've been on, and it really kind of emoted kind of motivation, but also kind of a sense of, wow, like how big of an occasion this is. And Barcelona were terrible, like in the opening parts of the game, because they were just so emotional from what he'd shown them that they lost focus. So it's an interesting balance, I suppose, where you have to try and find the way to motivate a team and the crowd without going too far. Because if Bayern suddenly come out the blocks and shock you, all of a sudden that drains so quickly, and it can from the crowd. An early goal can really drain the crowd, or if you don't start in the right way, it can drain the crowd's energy. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamic from the Bayern side of things without any fans. If they were to say score, get an equaliser, or pull one back, they don't have the energy from the fans to drag them back in some way. So I'll be intrigued to see what happens. I don't want to be intrigued by them scoring a goal, but if it is indeed to happen, I'll be very interested to see how things are. We'll go to predictions to round things off. Dan, we'll start with you. Scoreline and scorers, please.
You just caught me in a thought. I was thinking a Dyer own goal would be great. The stadium would go No, that would be like the 5th goal, like, but that's fine. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
5-0. Oh, no, honestly, I'm hoping and I'm willing it into existence. I want to see us pound them for the 2. I'm sure it was 2 years in a row. Did we not do 10-2?
Well, you lost
Wasn't it?
5-1 3 times in a row, but I don't know if it was 10-2 twice, but it was definitely 5-1 3 times in a row.
Double check it. I don't know why, but I've got this memory of 2 years in a row we lost 10-2 on aggregate against Bayern Munich, and it was like same old story or something like that. I could be wrong, but
no, it was 5-3 was the time. It was 10-2 the last one, then it was 5-3 the time before that. Then it was 3-1 time before that was 5-1 on aggregate. So it's not been 2 10-2.
Right, all right. Well, so the last one was 10-2, yeah. Well, for that last result only, then they deserve a pounding. And I mean, like a welcome back to the quarterfinals. We have done this all season long. You Spurs boys are no exception. Just because you're not in the country no more, you're getting some. So I'm going to go 5-0. I'm going to say Havertz is going to bag, I think, Saka, Martinelli, Rice, and Gabriel Magalhaes is going to get the last.
Nice. Garrett.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 3-0. I'm going to go, Gabriel from the set piece, same as Dan. I'm going to go Saka, and I'm going to go Havertz. I think he's on a run, and he's going to keep it going.
Mike.
I'm going between the two. I'll do a 4-0.
Mike.
So I'll go.
How things have changed, eh? Oh, dear.
I'll do a. Well, since I put Jesus in, I've got to have him on the score sheet. So yeah, he's gonna knock one in. Odegaard's gonna kick the scoring off because that's what captains do. And I fancy Saka to get a couple as well. So
I'm going 5-1 just for the memes. So you know, we have to hit them back for 5-1, do we? Surely that's the obvious prediction we got to go for. I'd love to see that. Honestly, I cannot tell you how good it would feel to just, as Dan was saying, just pound them. And not just because of the history of the fixture, but also something of a message to Manchester City and Liverpool in the title race of what you're up against. Because I just feel like Arsenal just keep getting written off. I'd like being away being written off because it takes the pressure off, but there is something about, you know, putting a marker down and building confidence and building something of an invincible feeling that you can beat anyone and everyone, especially when we know that it's either City or Real Madrid in the semis, and it's a big if, we make it. So that's really important. So I'm going to go 5-1. Goals from Kai Havertz, hat-trick. Thank you very much. I'd love an Eric Dyer own goal, but I'll let you have that thunder, Dan. And I'll go with Declan Rice to get a screamer. And I'll go with who's the 5th goal scorer? I'll tell you what, a Benjamin White goal against Bayern would be great. So I'll go with Ben White just to see what his celebration might be. I'd pull out an England shirt or something. I don't know. That'd be fantastic. And yeah, there you go. So we'll go 5-1 just for the memes. Chat box is very positive as well, which is great to see. Troy 5-0, Peter 4-0, Brad 4-0, Joker 3-0. I hope this doesn't turn into a meme. Steve says 2-0, Troy 1-0, Jason says 3-2, squeaky bum time. Paul says 3-1. We know Kane will find a way to score. That's true. We haven't thought about the Kane penalty that's obviously going to happen. Steps going for a 3-0 home and a 3-2 win away, 6-2 on aggregate. Mars Cannon says 5-1 as well. Granddaddy Good at Paul says 5-1 to get that revenge. Matt's going for a 3-0. Really wants to keep a clean sheet. Own goal. Oh, sorry, not own goals. Away goals aren't a thing, of course, anymore in the Champions League. It was the last time we played Bayern. It no longer is, which I think certainly leans in our favour. I feel like there was a year. Was there a year where we went out on away goals? I think it was 2013. We lost 3-1 at home and then won 2-0 in Bayern. Yeah. I remember Olivier Giroud scoring in the 3rd minute, and then we didn't score until the 86th. I remember being in the local pub with my dad watching that game, and I was there, and I remember getting back. What happened was I used to live about 25-minute walk from the pub at my old house. I saw Giroud score 3 minutes in. This is before I was 18. The bouncer came in and said, "Oh no, actually, it wasn't before I was 18. I just didn't have my ID on me." And the bouncer came up and said, "Can I have your ID?" And I said, "I don't have it." He said, "Well, you're going to have to leave." So my dad's like looking at me like, "Well," and I'm like, "Mate, I'm with my dad as well. Like, you can't kick me out. I'm only watching. I'm not even drinking. Like, I'm just watching the game." And I had to run home, get my passport at the time, so I didn't have a driving license or anything like that, and then run back. It took me until the second half had started to do that, and it was still 1-0, and then we still ended up losing on away goals. It's like the worst evening ever. Yeah, that's why there's so much emotion attached to this specific fixture. But hopefully Arsenal get the job done. Thank you to my fantastic listeners, of course, joining us wherever you are in the world, and of course on Catch Up. But a bigger thank you to my brilliant guests. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me in the Discord channel. And yeah, well, look forward to seeing you all in there. Those of you who are not, get part of it.
Love it. I might clip that. Garrett, thank you for your time, mate. Appreciate it. Tell people they can find you.
Yeah, all good. It was a good chat. Yeah, same as Mike in the Discord, and yeah, join up. It's a good crack in there, and you get to come on here, so it's yeah, definitely worth it.
Lovely stuff. And Dan, any new food channel stuff going up?
Yeah, I'm gonna, once we finish on here, I've got some quiet time. I'm gonna sit down and do my audio over a dish that I cooked while in Sierra Leone in the traditional way. It was a absolutely it was a fun experience learning how to cook the dish. It's my partner's favorite. It's okra, but I'm gonna release the video hopefully tonight. I'm looking forward to this one. It's gonna take a nice turn, and now the kitchen. I've got the kitchen ready to now record more content. So yeah, coming forward will be a lot more stuff.
Tell people they can find it.
Yeah, so I'm in the Discord. I'm back in the Discord. I took a little bit of a vacation, but yeah, and I'm also on my YouTube channel, which is a Vegan Vital Kitchen, where I do vegan versions of your favorite recipes, but at the moment, we are taking a nice slow approach.
Good stuff. Well, there you go. Vegan Vital Kitchen. I look forward to seeing it. I've never had okra in my entire life, so it's one to check out for sure. There you go.
It will be.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I just want to do a quick shout. Thank you for the 2,000 likes on this morning's show, by the way. Ridiculous. Crazy. I know we do a 1K everyday challenge, but 2,000 is mad. So thank you for that. And I'll be back tomorrow morning to do it all over again ahead of traveling up to the Emirates Stadium for what is going to be hopefully a very, very special night indeed. Have a fantastic rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you happen to be in the world, or rest of your sleep in the case of Mike, of course, and those living over in the Far East. But thank you for listening. And as always, up the Arsenal.